Hi everyone, today we're going to be talking a bit about resumes. So to start off, the purpose of a resume is to outline your skills, experience, and education related to the job you're applying for. Another purpose of a resume is to help get an interview so you can further showcase yourself there. So, what are the components of a resume? There isn't one exact way to write a resume, but there are standard components that we recommend including in your resume. The first is your name and contact information. They need to know who you are and how to contact you. Next is we recommend having a summary of qualifications section, and that will showcase your key qualifications for the role you're applying for. We recommend including education, experience, and also skills. So one common question we get from students is, what should I put on my resume? I don't have any work experience or job skills. If you're a student, it's okay if you don't have work experience yet. Okay, you're still gaining these skills. You can include relevant coursework under your education section. If you don't have work experience yet, but you're getting education, such as at the college level, you can tell them a bit more about your education. What courses have you taken? What skills have you gotten through there? You can also include any student organizations, clubs, sports, music group, volunteering. There's a lot of ways to gain experience and showcase your skills, even outside of formal paid work experiences. So consider your transferable skills, and I'm going to go into that in a moment. Skills. There's two types of skills we talk about, technical and transferable skills, and they should both be on your resume. Technical skills are your specialized knowledge and expertise. So for example, maybe there's some people who their specialized knowledge is in Python, computer networking, Excel, DNA sequencing, mathematical modeling, things like that. The technical skills will vary based on the job and your field. So, right, like a pilot's technical skills are going to be different from a teacher's, are going to be different from a data analyst. We all have different technical skills. And those are the things you're probably learning in your degree program, along with your transferable skills. These skills are useful in a variety of contexts: collaboration, organization, problem solving, cross-cultural communication. Those are some examples, and you might be gaining those things in your sports team or in your music group or through volunteering. So be sure to include that as well. Okay, we're going to talk through an example. I know it's a little bit hard to see, but it's also in our Resume Essentials guide on our website. So at the top, you'll see the person's name and contact information, and then a summary of qualifications. This summary of qualifications is typically 3 to 5 bullet points, and it's clearly outlining your key skills and qualifications for the role you're applying to. It mentions a little bit about the education or the experience, and it focuses on those key skills that the employer says that they want based on their job posting. Then we go into education or experience. Whichever one goes first depends on which one is more qualifying for you. If you're a current student and you don't have a lot of work experience, lead with your education. If you have a lot of relevant work experience, but your education is more out of date, maybe lead with experience. So you can see they have bolded what they're studying, they have where they're studying it, their expected graduation date, they have relevant coursework, GPA, especially if it's above 3.0 or higher, even better if 3.5 or higher. If it's a lower GPA, not a problem, just not something you need to include on a resume. And then any other academic awards or honors can go in that section. Below that is going to be any previous education. If your high school diploma is recent, you can include that. If you have other college level degrees, that can be included as well. Typically, everything on the resume should be within the past 10 or 15 years, though. Certifications can go there. It can also go within education or at a later spot. It's a little bit of a personal preference. Experience, we like the term experience because it's broad enough. It could be paid, unpaid, formal, informal. They have the title of what their role was nice and bold. It's easy to see. They have the company's name and the location, and then the months and the years. You don't need to put months up in the education section because what matters most is about when did you graduate. But for experience, it's best to put month and year because that helps them understand if you were somewhere for 3 weeks or 19 months, for example. And then you'll see under that some bullet points that are outlining what they did at that company, but not just what they did, the skills they demonstrated, and potentially some measurable outcomes if possible. So you're trying to showcase your skills through those descriptions. Community involvement, you can include that as a part of experience, or you could have a separate section, but that's also something great to include on the resume if you have volunteer experience or other involvement in your community. If you speak multiple languages, that's also something you can include with skills. You could have an additional skills section at the bottom where you go even more in depth into some of your skills or technical skills if that's something you haven't thoroughly covered yet. So that's a spot where you can put any additional skills or abilities that you'd like. So this is the general format. You'll see it's pretty clean, easy to read, black text on a white background. It's using the space well, but it's also not too cluttered. There's enough white space that the reader can visually still see the key words and phrases. A few additional tips. Keep in mind that resumes are marketing documents. Your goal is to put your best foot forward and talk about your skills and qualifications. That can be a bit awkward, but it takes practice. Try to make your resume easy to scan. People are looking at these quickly, so simple formatting, easy to read font, that all helps the viewer. Use reverse chronological order. That means that within each section, your most recent experiences are at the top. That's because they're most recent. We want them to see those first as they may be most relevant to. Reverse chronological order. What's most recent is first, or what's present is first. Please don't use templates, graphics, text boxes, columns. They're very difficult to read. They get a little bit cluttered. And then the computer systems that scan resumes also really struggle to read those. So we really recommend just very simple formatting throughout your document. At least size 11 text and at least 0.7-inch margins. If you don't have a ton of writing, go ahead and increase those. But if you really are struggling to fit everything on one page, you can play around with the text size and margins a little bit. In general, please try to keep your resume to one page. If you have 10 plus years of experience, you may need 2 pages, but in general, especially for traditional age college students, your resume should be on one page. And that may mean that it's not every experience that you've ever done or every course you've taken or things like that. You're going to want to prioritize based on what's important for that reader or employer to know. Those are some resume tips. We have additional resources on our website, including our Resume Essentials Guide and Resume one-page handout. Thank you.